Hey folks, this is Andrew Bennett with InsuranceThatFits.com, where we help fit the need and fit the budget for your health insurance and Medicare needs. Excuse me. Today we are going to be talking about the HDG Medicare Supplement, a Medicare supplement most of you have probably never heard of. So if you're new to Medicare or existing with Medicare, I think it's a great option. Let's get into it and we'll show you what it is. First, I'm going to share my screen here. Share. And I'm going to go over here. And we're going to start. InsuranceThatFits.com. Will you look at that beautiful logo? Hmm. All righty. So what in the world is an HDG Medicare supplement? So first off, it's the lowest cost Medicare supplement out there. You've probably heard of the regular G, the G supplement. That's the Cadillac supplement, so to speak, covers everything but the Part B deductible. With every supplement available today, for those who became eligible for Medicare after January 1 of 2020, those people can no longer get an F or get a C supplement. If you became eligible for Medicare before that, you can keep your F, you can keep your C, you can even enroll in an F or a C. I wouldn't recommend that because essentially, as those people, as they die off, as they move to Medicare Advantage, as they move to a different Medicare supplement, those risk pools are going to be getting smaller and smaller over time. As a risk pool gets smaller and smaller, the price is going to go up disproportionately. Prices are always going to go up, but you don't want them going up disproportionately. Okay. So the HDG is a variation of the G. Okay. So we're going to go to our little chart here. You can see here on the chart, we've got right here, we've got the G with an asterisk. I'm going to mark out the F. I'm going to mark out the C. Those are the ones I just told you were no longer available to people who turn 65 or become eligible for Medicare after January 1 of 2020. So the G is the Cadillac. Only thing it doesn't cover is the Part B deductible. And you'll see pretty much everything available today doesn't cover the Part B deductible. So you've got to pay the Part B deductible no matter which one you go with. Okay. So not the end of the world. And the HDG, again, designated just by that little asterisk. So the HDG stands for high deductible, and I hate it that it's called the high deductible G because it doesn't work like a deductible. You got to remember that Medicare is primary and the supplement is secondary. So with Medicare, you've got that $257 deductible. And after that, Part B of Medicare pays out 80/20. And Part B is where most of your billing is. Part A is really more for if you're admitted to the hospital, if you're admitted to a skilled nursing facility. Um, but most of your charges, what it takes to diagnose you, to treat you, to pay the doctors, that's all covered by Part B. So your Part B has a $257 deductible. After that, it pays 80% of the bill, and either you or your supplement pay the 20%. Now, with the G, the big G, it covers that 20%. With the HDG, it acts like an out-of-pocket maximum, so you cover the 20% up to a certain dollar limit. That dollar limit is $2,870. Now, a couple of comments here. One, that out-of-pocket maximum is significantly lower than a lot of out-of-pocket maximums on Medicare Advantage plans. So there's that. The other thing is with traditional Medicare, again, paying 80/20. 80/20 is great. A $257 deductible is great. The problem is there's no out-of-pocket maximum without a supplement. So if you run up 100 grand in bills because you've got cancer, you had a bad car wreck, whatever, well, 20% of a large number can still be financially devastating for people. So the HDG kicks in and caps that at $2,870. Now, I tell people the HDG is a lot like your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance in that most years they do nothing for you, nothing at all. And most years, if you think about it, you're not in a car wreck. Most years your house isn't burning down. So we look at health insurance and we want it to pay just all the time. And Medicare is. Medicare is paying 80% of the bill. But to cover that other 20% or cap it down all the way to $257, um, if you think about insurance, the role of insurance is to protect you from catastrophic or significant financial loss. If you keep a little bit of cash on hand, and really I'd advocate to whether it's your homeowners, your car insurance, you'll keep your premium down if you raise your deductibles. If you raise your deductibles, you've got to have cash on hand. So this supplement is for those kind of people. All right. So we're going to give an example. Actually, we're going to go through three examples of how the HDG works. Now, first, we're going to compare the HDG with the G. So here you might notice we've got a primary care visit. Now, this is all after deductible. This example is after deductible. So we're going to pretend that that the Medicare allowable rate for the office visit is $85. I don't know what it is. It's different in, I think, New York or LA than it is in East Tennessee. Okay. So we're just going to pretend it's $85. It might be $65. It might be $105. I don't know. But I want to guess it's $85 or less. So Medicare, if that's what the Medicare allowable rate is, Medicare is going to pay 80%. That's $68. If you have a G supplement, the G supplement is going to pay the other 17, and you're going to pay nothing at all out of pocket for that office visit, which is great. Okay. If you have the HDG supplement, you are going to pay that $17. I didn't quite circle that very well, did I? But you're going to pay that 17. The 17 doesn't break the bank. Now, let's talk about the monthly cost of these things. So a G supplement for a male turning 65 is about $130 a month. For the HDG, you're probably looking $30 a month or less, depending on the company you go with. So you're saving $100 a month. You're saving $1,200 a year. So when you go to the doctor, can you afford to pay $17? Well, probably so. So that's example number one. Let me clear that off. Let's see, sample number two. Okay, this is going to be a little bit larger dollar amount. You go back to the primary care doctor. They do some lab work. They take an X-ray. The total bill, the total negotiated rate, again, it's 250. The billed rate, heck, the billed rate could be 650, but Medicare says, hey, doesn't matter what you bill. This is what you agreed to when you agreed to work with Medicare. So, uh, again, just an example. I'm making these numbers up. Medicare pays 80%. Here you pay $50. You're like, oh, $50. Well, again, remember, you're saving $100 a month in premium. I always tell people you can't save everything you save. So yeah, you've got some out of pocket here. But even if you're only say, if this were to happen every month, you'd still be saving $50 a month. Okay, so again, first two examples, HDG did nothing for you. You had very low, very moderate cost. Let's go to our next example. This one is a little bigger. Now, this is kind of it's not real life in that somebody showed these to me and actually happened. Something similar happens quite often. So people go along with the HDG. They're pretty healthy when they turn 65 and they get to be 70, 73, 75, and they have their first real health event. Okay. And they'll call me and they'll say, Drew, I had such and such happen. And, and I had to pay $700 out of pocket. Is there any way I can get better coverage? Can I move back to the G? And maybe they can. They've got to answer health questions at this point, but maybe they can. But what would be the point? Typically, these people just remind them, okay, now remember, right now you're paying, at the age of 75, maybe they're paying $45 for the HDG. If you move to the G, now your premium with the G is going to be $165 a month, $170 a month. So now they want to spend more than $1,200 so that they don't have to spend $780. Again, because the cost savings per month between the HDG and the G are now well over $1,200 at the age of 73, 75, whatever. So does it make any sense to pay $1,200 plus more each year so that you don't have to pay 700. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, looking at this example again, the HDG has still not kicked in. What does it do? When does it ever kick in? That's our next example. Okay. Now, this example is not a single visit or a single thing. This is going to be an annual expense example where maybe you've had cancer. So you've got doctor visits, lab work, chemotherapy, physical therapy, MRIs, surgery, ER visits. You got all that sorts of stuff. And for the whole year, your total cost was $42,000. Oh my gosh. Okay. So remember, Medicare is going to pay 80% of that bill, $33,600. So you don't have to pay, all that. Um, Now that leaves $8,400. You don't have to pay all that. You pay up to 2,870. And here finally the HDG kicks in and pays the last $5,530. So that's what it does. It gives you an out-of-pocket maximum. It caps your annual cost of what you pay. Now, again, this is an annual example, so keep in mind you're paying this 2,870. You're paying it in little drips and dabs along throughout the year. You're not paying it all at once. A lot of times when I present this supplement to people, they'll say, "Okay, let me get this straight. So I pay the first $2,870." No, no, you don't. You pay the Part B deductible, which is the first 257, and then you pay the 20%. So it's when you're 20% or 20% plus your Part B deductible, plus your Part A deductible if you're hospitalized. That's going to be when the HDG finally kicks in. Okay, let me clear this off the screen. Okay, so why would you want the HDG? One, to save your monthly premiums. Okay. Now, again, you don't get to save everything you save. You need to be putting some money back for those out-of-pocket costs, but you will save money over time. And two, you keep control of your health care because you're not in a Medicare Advantage plan. One of the key problems with Medicare Advantage plans, and the biggest problem, if you ask me, is their overuse of utilization reviews, prior authorizations, where it seems like sometimes it seems like the companies are looking out more for their profit than they are for your health care. I mean, sometimes it looks that way. Not all the time, but sometimes. And not all companies are equal either. There's another company I'll be talking about soon. If you're interested in Medicare Advantage, it's a company I really advocate for. Um, but anyway, so this is the HDG. I think it's a great option. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, cries of outrage, send me a text, shoot me an email, or just call me. Carrier pigeon, smoke signal, whatever it takes, folks. Give me a shout. I'll be glad to help you out. And that is all we have for today. So for insurancethatfits.com, thank you for watching.